Night settles over the lowland jungles with a stillness so complete it feels unnatural, as if the world is holding its breath before a truth too heavy for daylight. The trees stand like towering obsidian pillars, their leaves whispering in the darkness as if exchanging memories they dare not speak under the sun. In the distance, a torch sputters, a trembling bloom of gold swallowed by the shadows of an ancient Maya outpost. For women sit bound near the ruined boundary wall, their wrists tied with woven henequen cords, their cheeks shine with dried tears. Dirt clings to their skin like a second layer, marking every stumble of the forced march that brought them here. They are barefoot, shivering despite the moist tropical heat. Their breaths are shallow, uneven, each one carrying the weight of a story told and too painful to name. The jungle around them hums with life. Cicadas vibrate through the underbrush. Frogs croak from hidden pools. Distant jaguars rumble like thunder rolling low across the earth. But beneath that natural music lies another rhythm, unnatural, deliberate, controlled. The rhythmic slap of paddles along a river. The muted steps of warriors approaching through the trees. The sound of fate tightening. The torch nearest to the women flickers, throwing their shadows against the stone like fractured spirits. They watch the darkness nervously, each waiting for the moment the figures will emerge, the moment when the ritual truly begins, when the stories they heard whispered as girls become the reality closing in around them. For centuries, the world believed captured Maya women simply disappeared, taken in war, vanished in tribute, swallowed by sacrifice. The truth was far worse, buried beneath collapsed temples, erased from inscriptions, hidden in the silence of bones. Tonight, that truth moves toward them like a storm. The first figure steps from the jungle, painted in deep blue and red clay, his torso bare except for a collar of jade beads that shimmer like drops of frozen rain. Feathers of the Quetzal bird rise behind his headdress, glowing green even in the dim light. He is tall, but not menacing in the way foreign invaders would be centuries later. His expression is solemn, eyes sharp with duty rather than cruelty. Behind him, more warriors step forward, carrying torches, ropes, bowls, and bundles of cloth. Their faces are painted with symbols of wind and fire, earth and night. These are not common soldiers. They are ritual escorts chosen by priests, sworn to silence, bound to the sacred order of the captives. One woman, older than the rest, with streaks of gray threading through her braids, swallows hard. Her name is Ixcan. Once she ground maize for her family with hands that bore calluses of honest labor. Once she held her daughter to her shoulder and soothed her to sleep. Now her daughter is somewhere in the jungle behind her, running in the chaos of the raid. Ixcan does not know if she escaped. The not knowing is its own blade. Another woman, younger, stares at the approaching warriors with eyes that do not blink. Her name is Yulaike, barely 17, a girl who once wove cotton with threads dyed blue as the sky after rain. Her knees tremble, though she tries to hide it. Her fear pools silently behind her ribs, drowning every thought except one: survive. The third woman, Shocknob, presses her lips together so tightly they turn white. She carries the stoicism of someone who has witnessed the fragility of human bodies. She was a healer in her village. She has seen wounds, birth, death, fever, but she has never seen what is about to unfold. No herb can soothe this night. No balm can ease this truth. The last woman, Zul, the quietest of the four, keeps her head lowered. She does not cry. She does not tremble. Inside her heart, a fire smolders, not of hope, but of rage. Her husband was killed in the attack. She saw the spear, saw the fall, saw the blood pooling into the dirt. Rage is all she has left. Rage, and the knowledge that whatever fate awaits her, she will not greet it with silence. The warriors move closer. None of the women speak. None of them need to. Their fates have already begun. The torchlight spills over the clearing as woven mats are unrolled across the ground. Earthen bowls are placed beside them, filled with crushed shakiote seeds, ground jade dust, and thick liquid made from tree resin. The smell rises sharp, bitter, ceremonial. As the warriors arrange the tools, The figures everyone fears most emerge from the shadows. The priests, clad in robes dyed black with soot and indigo with wild berries, they move like shadows given flesh. Their faces are obscured by masks carved in the likeness of gods, some with elongated jaws, others with fangs or swirling patterns. They carry staffs adorned with feathers and bones, each one rattling softly as they move. One priest kneels in front of the women. He lifts a clay cup toward them. The liquid inside is dark, swirling like a captured storm. None of the women know what it is, but they know what it means, the beginning of the ritual. A ritual deeply woven into the Maya worldview. A ritual rarely recorded because it belonged to the night, to the hidden world beneath civilization's surface. The priest raises the cup to the sky, murmuring an ancient invocation. His voice is thin, almost melodic, carried off slightly by the humid wind. When he finishes, he lowers the cup and lifts it toward Ixchane. Her lips tremble. She closes her eyes. She drinks. The liquid coats her tongue like ash. Heat spreads down her throat, settling in her stomach like a burning stone. Colors sharpen around her. Shadows pulse. Her breath falters. She is being prepared not to die, but to be transformed. The cup passes to Yol Ike. She hesitates. Then she drinks too quickly and coughs, tears welling in her eyes. The priest presses two fingers to her forehead, chanting words she cannot understand but feels inside her bones, words that tell her she no longer belongs to herself. Shaknab drinks without flinching. Zul drinks last. She spits a small portion back onto the ground deliberately. A challenge. The warriors tense. The priest does not. He simply watches her with an unreadable stillness. Then he dips his finger into the spilled liquid and draws a small symbol on her cheek. A mark, a memory, a warning. The ritual does not pause. The cords around their wrists are loosened, but not removed. The warriors guide them to the woven mats and begin painting their arms and legs with Akioti paste. Thick red lines run across their skin in patterns, representing the world's creation, the layers of heaven, the layers of the underworld, the body as the map between both. Ixchane tries to steady her breathing, to stop the trembling in her chest, but the pace is cold and the designs are unnervingly precise. The warriors paint her as though she is not human, but symbolic flesh, an ancient manuscript written in blood and silence. Yul-Ik's lips tremble as the cold paste touches her ankles. She bites her tongue to keep from crying out. The pain from her march blurs together with the humiliation of being touched by strangers in ways that erase her identity piece by piece. Shaknab watches every stroke. She notes the symbols, crosses, spirals, stepped patterns echoing temple architecture. She understands what they represent. Each mark ties the women to gods of fertility, war, sacrifice, and the cycles of time. She begins to understand. They will not die quickly. They will serve before they vanish. Zul glares upward as the warrior applies paste to her arms. She does not resist, but her eyes do. They burn with fury. The warrior avoids her gaze. The masks of the priests glow in the torchlight as they circle the women. A low chant begins, not loud, not invasive, but constant. The sound vibrates like a hidden river beneath the soil. The women feel it in their ribs, their teeth, their hearts. The jungle leans closer. The air thickens. The night deepens. And then the first stage begins. The warriors lift Ixchane and carry her to a stone basin carved into the earth. She is lowered gently, not cruelly, onto the basin's shallow floor. But when the priest raises a bowl of water mixed with lime powder, her breath catches. She knows this ritual. She has heard of it only in whispers. The water is poured over her hair. It burns. Not like fire, but like something sharp prying apart the strands. Lime water loosens everything. Dirt, oils, identity. The water runs down her back, carrying away pieces of her past. The priest washes her as if cleansing her spirit, but she feels herself breaking apart, dissolving into the earth. When they lift her again, her hair hangs limp and heavy, stripped of its natural oils, its protective scent. She feels exposed, unanchored. Yul-Ik is next. She sobs softly as the burning water drenches her braids. Each time the liquid touches her scalp, She inhales sharply, her fingers curling like claws. Her memories blur childhood laughter, summer rains, her mother's voice. It all washes away, replaced by a hollow ache. Shocknob grips the basin's edge so tightly her knuckles turn pale. She whispers a prayer to Ixchel, goddess of healing. But no goddess answers. The water burns, her breath shatters. She looks up, and the stars seem to spin. Zuld does not break. She does not cry. She does not gasp. She clenches her jaw until her teeth ache. The water burns her skin, but she stares straight at the priest, daring him to see what he is destroying. He does not look away. He studies her, memorizes her. Perhaps he knows she will be the hardest to transform. When the washing ends, the women are carried to a raised platform where incense burners release smoke so thick it feels like breathing clouds. The smoke smells sweet at first, then bitter. It winds around their heads, arms, legs. It seeps into their lungs. Ixchel coughs, dizzy. Yulaike sways. Shocknob forces herself to stay conscious. Zul lifts her chin defiantly, but even she begins to lose balance as the smoke blurs the world. The priests step onto the platform. They hold obsidian shards not for cutting deeply, but for scraping, removing dead skin, opening pores, preparing bodies for the next stage. The scraping is not violent, but it is not gentle. It is intimate, terrifying in its closeness. Ixchel feels the shard glide across her shoulder. The pain is sharp, immediate like being unstitched. She flinches, but the warriors hold her steady. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Yulaike puts her hands over her face, but the priest removes them. Her arms tremble as the shard touches her thigh. Tears spill down her cheeks. A small cry escapes, a sound she does not even recognize as her own. Shocknob grits her teeth. Each scrape sends a jolt through her bones. She knows what comes next. She knows the scraping opens the skin for dyes, for rituals, for markings. She fears the dye more than the blade. Zul breathes through her nose, focusing her mind. She refuses to let them hear her pain. But when the obsidian shard scrapes across the soft skin beneath her arm, she jerks involuntarily. The priest pauses, their eyes lock. She hopes he sees her fury. He does. The scraping continues until their bodies glisten with a mixture of sweat, blood, and resin. When it ends, the priests bring forth bowls of blue dye made from indigo and crushed jade dust. The women stare in horror. They know this dye. It is used on statues, on sacred idols, on offerings. The color binds the body to the gods. The dye is applied to their skin slowly, carefully, symbol by symbol. Spiral patterns flow along their arms. Triangles rise across their chests. Dots track their spines like constellations. Ixchel begins to cry again, silently. The dye cools her burning wounds, but the symbolism scorches her soul. Yulaike shivers. Every mark feels like a chain being looped around her spirit. Shocknob tries to study the symbols, but dizziness pulls her thoughts apart. Zul does not move. She stares forward, unblinking, as the symbols claim her skin. By the time the dye dries, the women look less like themselves and more like living inscriptions, bodies rewritten, identities overwritten. The priest standing before them raises his hands. A hush falls across the clearing. Even the jungle stills. The air thickens with the weight of myth. He begins to chant. The chant is not loud, not angry, not triumphant. It is mournful, a lament dressed as a ritual. The women do not understand the words, but their souls do. When the chant ends, the warriors step forward to carry them into the next stage, the stage hidden from history, erased from codices, buried under centuries of stone. The stage the world was never meant to know, the truth that was hidden for centuries, the truth of what it meant to be a captured Maya woman. And as they are lifted into the darkness of the temple's inner chamber, each of them feels the same icy certainty. They will not die tonight, but they will lose everything else first. Darkness swallows the women as they cross the threshold of the temple, deeper than the night outside, thicker than smoke, older than the stone beneath their feet. The air inside is humid, warm, and heavy with a metallic scent that clings to the back of the throat. Torches line the cavernous interior, their flames small and trembling, as though frightened of what they illuminate. The walls are carved with scenes of creation and destruction, gods emerging from serpents, women rising from water, the moon devouring itself. The shadows that dance across these carvings seem alive, their movements whispering fragments of stories buried long before the first Europeans set foot on these lands. The women are set down on woven mats arranged in a circle. At the center stands a low stone altar decorated with glyphs, some for fertility, some for transformation, others for the unseen realm that lies between death and rebirth. The priests take their positions around the altar, forming a ring of living statues. The air vibrates with a low hum, a sound like distant thunder rolling beneath the earth. Ixcane tries to steady her breathing, but the air in the chamber feels thin, as if the walls themselves are sucking it away. She presses her hands against the mat, grounding herself, but the floor seems to pulse beneath her palms. Her vision blurs, the dye on her skin feels tighter, almost constricting. She feels as though she is being prepared not for death, but for disappearance. Yul-Ik lifts her gaze toward the ceiling, if it even exists. The chamber rises into darkness so thick it seems infinite. Her ears ring. She tries to swallow, but her throat is dry. She wants to call for her mother, but the sound dies before it reaches her lips. Shocknob's mind races. She recognizes some of the symbols carved into the altar, glyphs associated with ritual seclusion, transformation, offering. She knows this chamber is not meant for the public eye. The codices never illustrated this place. This ritual belonged to the hidden world, the world of shadows where the stories of captured women vanished. Zul clenches her fists, even though her wrists are bound. Rage keeps her present, rage keeps her alive. But as she looks at the altar, at the priest in the turquoise mask, at the jade beads glowing faintly in the torchlight, she feels a cold realization slide into her chest. This is not a ritual of ending. It is a ritual of erasure. A priest steps forward carrying a bowl made of polished obsidian. The bowl reflects the torchlight in a way that makes it look bottomless, like a fragment of midnight carved into a circle. He kneels before Ixcane first. She stiffens as he dips his fingers into the bowl and touches her forehead. Cold, too cold. A chill spreads down her spine, sinking into her bones. The substance leaves a black mark on her skin, a symbol shaped like a crescent moon. She feels something shift inside her, as though a memory has been pulled loose. The priest moves to Yul-Ik. She flinches as the cold substance touches her brow. A wave of dizziness washes over her. She tries to remember her mother's face, but it blurs. She tries again, the blur deepens. Shocknob inhales sharply when the substance touches her skin. She tries to think of her home, of the small garden behind her hut, of the herbs she grew, of the women she helped deliver children. The memories fade at the edges, as though turning to mist. Zul stares defiantly at the priest. When his fingers touch her forehead, she expects pain. She expects burning. Instead, she feels emptiness, quiet, a strange hollowing. She tries to recall her husband's voice. Nothing comes. The bowl contains the essence used in ceremonies of transition, infused with hallucinogenic bark and crushed seeds meant to open the spirit and loosen the ties of earthly memory. Not to kill, but to unmake. The chanting begins again. It is softer now, more intimate. The sound winds around the women like a serpent, sliding into their ears, curling around their hearts. Each note drifts deeper, deeper, deeper into their minds. The torches flicker, the air warps, the chamber trembles with an unseen presence. The priests place their hands on the women's heads, shoulders, arms, light touches, but full of intention. Ixcane feels something inside her unravel, like a string being pulled from the fabric of her spirit. Yul-Ik's thoughts scatter like frightened birds. Shocknob's memories drip through her fingers like water she cannot hold. Zul feels anger slamming against a wall, unable to break through. The chanting grows louder. The women sway. The chamber seems to breathe. And then, in the deepest moment of disorientation, the ritual shifts. The priests lift the women and move them toward the back of the chamber, where a narrow passage leads downward into a lower chamber few have ever seen. The air grows colder. The torches here burn green-blue. The walls are carved with unfamiliar symbols, spirals within spirals, eyes within eyes, serpents eating their own tails. The passage opens into a subterranean room illuminated by soft green light emanating from bowls of glowing minerals. The ceiling is low, the room circular, the air damp and cold. This is the chamber of remembrance, and the chamber of forgetting. The women are placed on stone benches carved into the walls. The priests disperse into small groups, retrieving jars, cloths, and small tools from niches carved into the stone. XKN watches with widening eyes as a priest brings a bowl of clear liquid and a long strip of cloth. She tries to pull back, but two warriors hold her steady. The cloth is pressed to her lips. She tastes sweetness, then bitterness, then nothing. The liquid seeps into her bloodstream. Her heartbeat slows. The chamber grows distant. Her thoughts become fog drifting over a silent lake. Yulaike shakes her head violently, trying to avoid the cloth, but a priest cups her jaw gently, almost tenderly, and holds her still. She breathes the vapors. Her eyelids grow heavy. Her fear softens into confusion. Shaknab whispers something, maybe a prayer, maybe a warning, but the cloth smothers the words before they exist. Her breath slows. Her mind opens like a window into darkness. Zul bites the cloth, trying to tear it. A warrior grips her chin and presses the vapors into her face. She holds her breath until her lungs burn. She holds it longer, but eventually her body betrays her. She inhales. Her fury dulls. Her world dims. The ritual is now in full motion. The priests begin marking the women with charcoal, drawing symbols over the blue and red patterns already staining their skin. These symbols are not of gods, but of roles. Each woman is being assigned a ceremonial destiny. Xkane is marked with the glyph of the moon, passive, reflective, bearing the weight of cycles. Yulaike receives the mark of wine, fragile, fleeting, easily carried away. Shaknab is marked with the symbol of water, healer, giver, dissolver. Zul is marked with the glyph of fire, dangerous, consuming, feared. The women do not understand the meaning, not fully, not yet. But they feel the symbols seeping into them, merging with the dye, binding their identities to the expectations of the ritual. The next stage begins. Incense smoke fills the chamber, thick and sweet. The priests chant once more, weaving sound and smoke together into a living tapestry. The women are told to rise, though their legs shake. They are guided, some gently, some with force, toward a circular stone pool at the center of the room. The water inside glows faintly, reflecting the green light of the minerals. The surface is perfectly still. It looks less like water and more like a mirror into another world. One by one, the women are led to the pool's edge. Xkane is the first. She steps into the water. It is cold, bone-deep cold. She gasps as it rises to her knees, then her waist, then her shoulders. The priests hold her upright as the water closes around her. She feels weightless, suspended between life and death. Symbols painted on her skin begin to bleed into the water, turning it faintly blue. Yulaike enters next. Her tears vanish into the pool. She clings to a priest's arm as the water envelops her thin body. Her breath trembles. Shaknab follows, struggling to maintain her footing. She whispers a name, but she cannot remember whose. Zul enters last. She steps into the water without hesitation. The pool shivers around her, reacting to her presence. The priests murmur. They have seen this before, women whose spirits burn too brightly for the ritual to easily contain. The chanting shifts. The priests raise their hands. The women's heads are submerged. The cold is absolute. Time stretches. The water presses against their ears, filling their heads with thunder. Memories flicker behind their eyes, birth, childhood, laughter, the smell of smoke, the taste of maize cakes, the warmth of loved one's hands. But each memory dissolves like ink in water. Xkane clings to her daughter's face, but it melts. Yulaike reaches for her mother's voice, but it fades. Shaknab tries to remember the herbs she grew, but the names slip away. Zul tries to hold onto her husband's dying breath, but even that vanishes. The priests lift them from the water. They gasp. They shiver. Their eyes drift unfocused, as though searching for something they lost in the pool. The ritual has stripped their memories, not all of them, just the parts that make them themselves. The priests lead them out of the pool, guiding their trembling bodies to a stone platform where they are laid side by side. Incense is placed near their faces. They inhale without realizing, their minds empty further. By dawn, they will no longer be captives, they will be transformed. Not into warriors, not into sacrifices, not into offerings, but into living vessels, women whose identities have been hollowed out, reshaped, repurposed for ceremonial roles within Maya society. Some will be assigned to temples, serving as mediums during rituals. Some will become bearers of sacred objects. Some will be given new names, new origins, new existences created entirely by priests. Their past will vanish, their futures will belong to the gods, and history will not record them. The codices would burn centuries later, not by Maya hands, but by foreign ones. But long before that, the Maya themselves hid these stories, burying them in rituals too sacred or too shameful to inscribe. And yet, history has a way of whispering back. In 1993, archaeologists excavating a series of underground chambers beneath a collapsed Maya temple in Petin discovered a collection of artifacts that did not fit any known ceremonial purpose. Bowls stained with indigo and ash, cloths hardened by time, obsidian shards worn down from scraping soft flesh, and for stone figurines small, crude, unrefined, each one painted with the same symbols found on the bodies of women in forgotten codices. Next to these figurines lay a single tablet, barely intact, barely readable, but unmistakable. A carved scene, for women standing in a circle, surrounded by priests with jade necklaces. Above them, glyphs describing a ritual known only in myth. A ritual of unmaking, a ritual of memory breaking, a ritual hidden for centuries. At the bottom of the tablet, scratched in small, an even glyph slightly added later, not by a priest, but by someone desperate, was a single phrase. Do not erase us, a plea carved into stone, a whisper that survived collapse, war, fire, and time, a truth that stepped out of the shadows after centuries of silence. For the captured Maya women did not simply disappear, they were rewritten. Their lives were folded into the fabric of ritual. Their stories were swallowed by the darkness of sacred chambers. Their memories dissolved into cold water. Their identities scattered like ashes in incense smoke. But the stone remembered, the earth remembered, and now, at last, the world remembers too. Because every forgotten voice eventually finds a way to rise, even from beneath 1,000 years of silence. Et memoria renascitur, and memory is reborn.